Ladies, welcome back to part two of our doubleheader where we are making jambalaya. Jambalaya is essentially a big stew with different kinds of meat, different kinds of seafood, and it's essentially rice-based as well. This recipe will easily serve 8 to 10 people. It's great to feed a crowd, high in protein, lots of vegetables. It's got your grains in there as well. It's a very balanced meal. It's absolutely a crowd pleaser. So we're gonna get things started. Ladies, first and foremost, please wash those hands. Freshly washed. Jenna, Mara, Imanji, I'm watching you. Make sure those hands are washed. We're gonna start things off, ladies, today with about 500 grams. This is a smoked pork sausage. Traditionally, jambalaya is made with a sausage known as andouille. It's a sausage that's native to New Orleans and Louisiana. It's a little difficult to find where we live, so what I use instead is this is a Polish sausage. It's a pork sausage and it's lightly smoked, so it gives a fantastic flavor to the overall dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this sausage up. This is a fully cooked, fully smoked sausage. I'm just going to cut this up in kind of bite-sized pieces. I'm just going to roll the sausage as I cut it, and this way it gives it a little bit more texture, a little bit more feeling in the mouth. There we are. Just give it a roll, give it a roll, and give it a roll. And what you get are these little sausages with a good bit of exposed edge, so that when we put these in the pan and we brown them up, we get a nice caramelization happening. So we're just going to cut this big one in half, and same thing, give it a quick roll. Roll it 90 degrees every time we make a cut. And like I said, this recipe will be easily enough for 8 to 10 people. And let's get to our last one. In this recipe, I've got chicken breast, I've got shrimp, and I've got this smoked pork sausage. That'll be our 3 different proteins, and we've got lots of different vegetables to go along with this as well. So as our pan is heating up, we'll just cut up our sausage. Get this up a little higher. We'll start with a little bit of olive oil in the pan, probably a good 4 or 5 tablespoons. There we are. And we will get our sausage directly in the pan. There we are. Now I'm using a big Dutch oven for this. Keep in mind we have a lot going into this pot, so we want to make sure that we have lots of room for all the ingredients. So all we want to do is just give this a little bit of color. Let some of that fat render out, because that fat is part of the flavor that's going to make this dish what it is. So we're just going to give this a good 4 or 5 minutes to brown and get some color in the pan, and we will be right back. And we're back. So our sausage is getting a nice bit of color in the pan. I've got 3 nice plump chicken breasts here. What we're going to do is cut these up into just bite-sized pieces. You notice I have a second board here. Don't want to be cutting raw meat, raw chicken on my primary board, where I'm going to be cutting up some vegetables a little bit later on. So all we're going to do is we're just going to cut this chicken breast up into some thin pieces, some thin strips. And as soon as that sausage is done, we're going to add the chicken to the pan as well. And there we are. That's one. Our second one up here. There we are. Just going to give this a quick stir. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells absolutely fantastic. These are almost ready to come out. We'll get our last chicken breast onto the board. There we are. And there we are. All right. So we will take this knife And this plate, move it out of the way. Give our hands a thorough wash. There we are. And we are ready to go. All right. So what we will do now, we will simply give this one final stir. This is getting a nice bit of color. So I think we are ready for our sausages to be removed from the pot. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them off to the bowl, off to the side, using a slotted spoon. All a slotted spoon is a big spoon with a bunch of holes in it. So when you pick up the meat, all of the fat drains off, drains back into the pot. There we are. We didn't season these sausages, we didn't need to. No salt, no pepper. All the seasoning that is required is already in the sausage. There we are. And these are the final pieces. And done. So we'll just leave these off to the side. We'll take our chicken and put our chicken into the pot as well. Spread that out. And what we want to do here is just cook this chicken through. Give it a little bit of color. There we are. And there will be lots of opportunity for this chicken to cook itself all the way through. There we are. So we'll just move that around, make sure that all of the chicken gets in contact with the bottom of the pan. We'll raise our heat slightly. And now, because this is unseasoned chicken, we want to make sure that we give this a season along the way. So we'll give this a little bit of salt. There we are. And some cracked black pepper. And more. And there we are. Rinse. And we are ready to go. So we're going to let this chicken go for about 5 or 6 minutes, just till it's cooked through, and until the chicken gets a nice bit of color on the outside. All those caramelized juices are flavor. We want all that flavor in the dish. I will see you in about 5 or 6 minutes. All right, now it's been about 5 minutes. The chicken is taking on a nice bit of color. What we're going to do now, while we do have a few more minutes to wait, is we're going to start chopping up our vegetables. So what we have here to start, we've got a couple of medium-sized onions. We're just going to cut these up in what we call rough dice. So that's just down the middle. And we'll give these maybe 5 or 6 cuts across, and then maybe 3 cuts across. So what we're looking for, is a good bite-sized piece of onion. This is a fairly rustic dish, so nothing too fine. This is really the definition of really good home cooking. There we are. Nothing too fancy. Again, down the middle. And across. And our final piece. And there we are. So we'll just push our onion off to the side. We've got a couple of bell pepper here as well. It's always nice if we can get a couple different colors, whether red and green, green and yellow. You know what, we'll just make the visual appeal of the dish a little bit more interesting by having a few more colors on the plate. So traditional box cut, we'll just cut right around all of the innards of the pepper. Same thing here. There we are. And we make sure we cut the base off. We're going to do the same thing to the pepper that we did with the onion. Really, really coarse chop. There we are. Flip it over. All we're really looking for our little kind of rectangular sized pieces of pepper. Nothing too fine. This is just a really good rustic, almost a stew, almost a rice dish, but with the consistency of a good home cooked stew. There we are. We'll give our pan a bit of a stir here. There we are. Our chicken's coming along nicely. Another 2 or 3 minutes, and that can come out. So now onto our red pepper. There we are. As a rule of thumb, the more colorful the dish is, the more healthy it is. All of these vegetables all have a lot of different nutrients, a lot of different vitamins, a lot of different minerals. And the more that we can incorporate into a dish, the more that we get into our body. There we are. And our last piece here. There we are. We've got 4 ribs of celery. We're going to get this diced up as well. Again, bite-sized pieces. Nothing too fine. Remember to keep those fingers out of the way. Keep those fingers rolled back. There we are. There we are. Give our chicken one more stir. And we've got a couple of other items here. We've got a couple of cloves of garlic. So we're just going to peel our garlic here. Just 1 clove. Second one. There we are. And our last one. We're just going to crush this and cut it right up. There we are. This off the board. There we are. We're going with 3 cloves today because the sausage that we're using is also flavored with a bit of garlic, and we're going to be using some Cajun seasoning as well, which is also flavored with some garlic. So everything in consideration when we're seasoning our dish. There we are, and our last one. Give that a quick dice. Last but not least, because it's Coach Joe, gotta have a chili pepper in there. All of these vegetables, ladies, have all been very well washed before we gave them a chop. And we're just going to dice up and slice up our chili pepper in very, very fine pieces. We don't want to be biting down on a big piece of chili pepper. We want our dish to have a nice even hum of heat from this pepper. There we are. Our vegetables are ready to go. We'll take our bowl. I think our chicken is about there. So what we will do is we will do the same thing as we did with the sausage. Just drain this off a little bit. Put our chicken into our bowl. And then we're going to start to build this up with our vegetables as well. There we are. Drop the heat a little bit. All right. Get the rest of our chicken in there. All right. So what we will do now, get this back on the heat, turn the heat back up, and we will get all of our vegetables into the pot. So any of those caramelized juices that have been left behind by the meat, As we sweat down these vegetables, they're going to loosen those caramelized juices from the bottom of the pot, and all of that is going to be used to flavor our dish. There we are. We'll just give this a quick seasoning of salt and pepper. There we are. We'll give this a quick stir. Oh, what a smell. So we are just going to let this go for about 3 or 4 minutes, start to sweat these vegetables down, and we will be right back. And welcome back. So all of our vegetables have all sweated down nicely. All of those brown bits from the bottom of the pot have now been loosened and are all coating our vegetables. So now it's time to get to the next phase of the dish. So what we have here, this is one tin, 796 mils of crushed tomatoes. We're just going to add that to the pot. We're going to scrape that out. We don't want to leave anything behind. There we are. And we'll just get that, stir that right in. There we are. We will get all of our meat back into the pot as well. And any of the resting juices that have collected on the bottom of the bowl, we want to get those into the pot as well. That's all flavor. That's all good stuff. We've worked hard to get it. We're not going to waste any of it. There we are. There we are. Just put this off to the side. We'll give that a quick stir. Oh. So now we've got 1.5 cups of white long grain rice. This is a basmati rice. I feel basmati works really, really well in this application. So what we'll do is we'll just add that right in. And after our rice, we've got about 4 cups of good quality chicken stock. So this is a chicken stock that I bought. Absolutely no salt added because I want to be the one to control how much salt that I put into my dish. So we will add this in. And it's important to notice that neither the chicken stock nor the tomatoes had any salt in them. So as we season, we want to make sure that we are being mindful of how much salt is in the dish. And if we need to add a little bit more, then we can certainly go about doing that. So we'll get this all mixed together. There we are. So I will just give that a quick pinch of salt. There we are. Now I've got some Worcestershire sauce. I want to give this a couple of splashes. So maybe 5 or 6 good splashes. There we are. And my seasonings, I've got 3 tablespoons of Cajun seasoning. So you can get Cajun seasoning that's really, really spicy. You can get some that's not so spicy. Because I already added a chili pepper, this Cajun seasoning doesn't have a ton of heat, but it does have a lot of flavor. So find one that you like and use that to season your dish, in addition to a couple of tablespoons of dry oregano. So we'll add that in. We'll give it a quick stir. And now this is going to take about 15 or 20 minutes to come together. So I'm just going to let this cook uncovered. I'm going to mix this up so all the seasonings get in there. And about every 4 or 5 minutes or so, I'm going to give this a good stir. And I will see you in about 15 minutes. Ladies, we are back. It has been between 25 and 30 minutes. I've been stirring our pot, and look at that. It went from being a very loose soup to the rice having plumped up and soaked up all of that liquid. So now we've got a nice thick stew-like item going here. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to add our final touches, which is our shrimp. And I've got a pound of these easy peel shrimp. These again are size 31 to 40, which means 31 to 40 shrimp per pound. And all I do is I basically pull where there's been an incision on the back of the shrimp. I just pull the shell back, pinch the tail, pull it off, and basically it's like taking off his pajamas. There we are. So we'll just give them a quick pull. And once we add this into our jambalaya, we are literally about 60 seconds away from dinner. There we are, just a handful more. So now we've got 3 different proteins in here. We've got our shrimp, we've got our chicken breast, and we've got our sausage. There we are. This one here is going to be a little difficult. There we are. And last couple. There we are. And our last one. So now before I'm going to add these in, I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. There we are. And now we're going to add these guys right in to the jambalaya. Just going to raise the heat here slightly, and we're just going to add these guys in. And literally these take no time at all to cook. With how hot this pot of jambalaya is, literally 60 seconds, and these guys are ready to go. I'm telling you, you bring this pot to the table when you've got a crowd to feed, you're going to be the most popular person in the house, guaranteed. So all of our vegetables have cooked down. They've softened slightly. They still have a little bit of crunch. They still have a little bit of texture, but they've been cooking in that flavorful broth with all of our seasonings. And essentially we are just about ready to go. Now, if any of you are having some difficulty finding any of the ingredients for this dish, I know the list was a little lengthy, please feel free to add in the comments if you're having any difficulty at all, and I will give you a hand. I'll let you know exactly where I get mine, and that way you should be able to make this dish without any issue. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys have as much fun with these recipes as I have in making them for you. And I hope this gives you an opportunity to sit down with your family to have a proper dinner. So what we will do, we will serve this up, and we will be ready to go. We will have one quick taste just for seasoning. Ladies, absolute perfection. I hope you try this at home. This is an unbelievable dish. We're going to kill the heat. We're going to give this one final stir, and we are going to plate up. There we are. Let's get our dish. There we are. Around our table, there's usually a fight for a few extra pieces of sausage. So we'll make sure we just top that bowl with a couple of extra pieces. And that, ladies, is what it's all about. Tune in next time when we'll have another fun recipe for you. Cheers.